Frank, this is something that doesn't surprise any of us who have watched Donald Trump rail against the rule of law, attack anyone investigating Russian interference, collusion with his campaign. But it is still a shock to the system, a system that is not equipped for someone willing to corrupt every aspect and element and actor in the federal government.
Right. You hit it right on the head. While it doesn't surprise us, we still find it shocking because here we have a president who is exploiting a national crisis to move forward his own agenda, his own revenge, his own profit. And it's the very concept of what an inspector general stands for, Nicole, that is anathema. It's diametrically opposed to everything this president stands for. What do I mean by that? IGs stand for unvarnished truth, reporting the facts, crunching the numbers, right? The rule of law and compliance. That's what they do for a living. And it just rubs Trump the wrong way that someone's going to get the truth out. The next person we see on the chopping block is likely to be that HHS Inspector General, Christy Grimm, who's reporting that over 300 interviews with hospital administrators have resulted in her finding that the supplies still are inadequate. He doesn't want to hear the truth. And we're finding that not only do we now have to fight this virus to save our lives, but we've got to fight it because we've got to save our democracy. This president is exploiting a virus to dismantle the rule of law and the Constitution.
And that isn't just us saying that. That is the evidence Donald Trump has put into Exhibit A, firing the Inspector General for the intelligence community Friday night. Exhibit B, removing the Pentagon Inspector General. Exhibit C, you just talked about what is now a Twitter feud, not a feud. Donald Trump's the only one doing the attacking against the Inspector General at HHS. Tell me your theory on this, Frank. It's my sense that he sort of woke up in year 3 and figured out that there are these people called inspectors general at the agencies, and they're just the new people in his line of fire for retribution.
He sees the truth as an adversary. So those who represent the truth and advocate for rule of law and compliance are simply not compatible with his administration. And so he found a way to start doing it. I predict, I hope I'm wrong, Nicole, but I think we might even see pardons come next. As the death toll mounts in a national healthcare crisis, we are going to see him slip in, you know, anything that advances his agenda. And if he thinks the American people are not going to remember this, if he thinks that the military sailors on that ship with Captain Crozier are going to forget that their captain was removed for fighting for them, if he thinks that healthcare workers are going to forget that they don't have PPE, that they're putting their lives on the line every day, if he thinks people are going to forget that they have to endanger their lives to go vote in a primary in Wisconsin, right? Death or democracy, he is sadly mistaken. And I think this is going to end up being a strategic error on his part.
Frank Figliuzzi, you're the second person in 2 days to raise the P word for pardon. Mike Schmidt yesterday reported that pardons are something that Donald Trump has shown an affinity for. Do you really think, I mean, I guess it's on us if we fail to imagine what he might do with a crisis. But do you think that's something we should be braced for?
Well, I think we should brace for the worst. I hate to draw the analogy between bracing this week for perhaps the deadliest time in American history, but I also think, sadly, we should be bracing for the person in the White House to exploit this time. You know, back in my FBI days, Nicole, some of the most heinous criminals that I saw were those who exploited crises, humanitarian crises, 9/11, Hurricane Katrina, for their own benefit. Right? And I thought that was the most despicable thing that I had seen. And I have to tell you, I see the president's conduct as akin to that kind of inhumane exploitation of a crisis.